Guys, welcome back to another preview, and thankfully the international break is over and Forest will resume business as we take on Crystal Palace at the world famous on Monday night. So yeah, even longer to wait than some other clubs. And we had to do it with our mates. We've got so many Palace mates, mate. We got D from Back of the Nest. My bro, how are you doing? Good to catch up with you.
Yeah, well, I'm doing better without Palace. It's been an enjoyable week with no stress. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I haven't really watched that much international football. I don't really watch England play. I'm going to watch Turkey play. Well, I've watched Turkey play as well. And yeah, man, I'm actually excited that it's on Monday Night Football because that's extra days rest and extra days prep, which we need at this point. But thank you for having me on.
Bro, what's happened to you, man? When we last spoke at the end of last season, yeah, it was all like, yeah, we don't want a summer break. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Glasner's the oracle, man, sorted us out. We're playing sensational football. And you were, to be
Yeah.
fair to you, mate. So I guess my first question, D, is Glasner a fraud? Was it all Olise, bro?
No, it's not abroad. It's not just about Elise. If you look at what's happened this summer, unfortunately, it started off in the summer, anyways. Elise going, that's a massive loss that you can't replace. That's fine. That was always going to happen. But then we had players that came back 3 days before the season started with Nketiah with the Olympics. We had other players who only had 10 days of preseason with Eze, Gehi, Wharton. And Henderson, then Munoz and Jefferson Lerma. Add to that with Chris Richards as well, who barely had any preseason. So it started there. When Wharton did come back, he hasn't been 100% fit all season long. So he's been playing with an injury, which is now catching up to him and has caught up to him because he hasn't been the same old Wharton. And then we saw Anderson and, as I said, Elise, two key players. And we didn't sign the replacements till deadline day, which was the game before the Chelsea one, which we managed to pick up a draw there. And then, you continue on. We haven't, according to Glasner, we haven't had a full week of training all season up until before the Liverpool game, I believe. So the last game. It's just been a messy start. It's been a very messy start to the season. It hasn't been results wise, it has been, but we haven't been terrible. I don't think. We've had moments in games, but it's about trying to combine everything together to pick up a result, which has been the issue. But we needed this international break. It's been in terms of fatigue, in terms of rest, in terms of resetting again. So yeah, like I've actually looked forward to an international break, and I think like we've needed it. I don't think Glasner has really shown that he's a fraud because I don't think we've been absolutely terrible in terms of performances, but results wise, yes. And maybe there are a few things that he could have done a bit better. For example, now in hindsight, looking back at it, I mean, Adam Wharton shouldn't really be starting games, and we saw it even against Liverpool. We could have got something against Liverpool. We could have, if Eze, for example, took his chances, but the game changed when you took off Wharton. But when you're playing two-man midfield and one of the midfielders is like 50% fit, you literally, you got one midfielder against three, so you're going to struggle. And if Adam Wharton is even not fit for this game, I wouldn't play him, for example. So there are a few things that maybe we can look at ourselves. But then also the players take a bit of accountability as well for our poor start. As I said, Eze, if he's worth £60 million, which is the release clause is, he has to be doing better. He's had a very poor start to the season.
Those misses against Man U, bro, the other week, like you should have beaten them.
Yeah, not only just that, against Liverpool as well. He had a chance against Liverpool. Everton game, 10 minutes of craziness.
How did you lose to Everton, man? How?
The first half of that game, Everton done nothing. The second half of the game, all the 10-minute spell, that's all it took.
You out.
10 minutes of just head loss. And then
that's what I'm saying. You're right. It's been a lot of that. I remember it was the first game, wasn't it, against Brentford, where Eze scored that free kick. I remember we were talking about it. It's like, why was that disallowed? And you look good up until that stage, and then suddenly, I almost feel that's been your season so far. Patches within games, you just can't string it together for 90 minutes.
Yeah, and that's not a excuse. That needs to be fixed. The Everton game was a bit of a reality check. Liverpool game, once again, Eze had a massive chance. He had a massive chance, and once again, he couldn't put it in the back of the net. We had a few chances against Liverpool, to be fair. So that's why I'm not like completely like, oh, Glasner out, because I don't think it's been horrible. I do think the players, the management all have to take a bit of accountability. But also on top of that, this international break plus Monday Night Football is giving us the time to rest those players that need a bit of rest. As I said, some people have only had 10 days of pre-season to work on a few things and have another full week of training and go again. We have to try again. I mean, we've never got a result. I can't remember anyways at your ground.
You haven't beaten us.
Despite
I don't think
different
you've beaten us since we've been back up, full stop.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I don't think we have, especially away from him. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's been various different problems at Palace. However, you know, we do have to get it starting sooner rather than later, because end of the day, it is a results business. But yeah,
so what's the fan base like at the moment? Is there any calls for his head yet, or is everyone saying it's too early?
Yeah, there's always going to be people who call for his head. I think that will always happen regardless. I mean, if you don't win 7 games, there's going to be people that question it. But for me, I'm not at that stage yet from what I've seen so far this season. And also, he's a manager that likes to change a few things as well. And there has been talks over this break or whether he can change the 4 at the back. And to me, that's a signs of a good manager. We've had managers before, for example, who are very stubborn in their approach. They'll pick the same 11, the same system, no plan A, no plan B. It just go out there with the same players. Whereas with Glasner, from even in games so far this season, he has changed it midway in games, and he has made those early subs. We saw 2 subs against Manchester United. Again, that game where Eze missed her chances. Ismail Assar, for example, he's been creating chances, and he only had his first start against Liverpool, so he hasn't really had any starts. But then the manager has given him more opportunities as the game's gone on. I haven't really seen a manager really make 2 subs at Palace at halftime if it's not for injuries. I haven't seen that. I don't think it's happened.
Yeah, Roy, mate, he barely made subs anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So you know, he's not scared to make changes when it's not working, and I do think there will be a few changes. The question is whether it will be at this game. That's the biggest question mark, because Munoz, as I've said, we don't know if he's going to be fit, and if he's not fit, Tyrick Mitchell hasn't been performing that greatly either down the left-hand side. So it doesn't make any sense to have 3 at the back with the wing backs essentially not performing at the levels they should. So it might be a system change in this game. We could go 4 at the back. We could have Chalobah as a right back rather than a centre back, who started his first game against Liverpool as well. So there's those question marks, which I guess we'll find out down the line. But it's also good to have those question marks because something's not working. So we do need changes. So it's good that, you know, even like the press is reporting that he is considering those changes. But whether he does it in this game, I guess it depends on injuries, and I guess depends on, you know, time with players in the international break. But we could, I think we will see some changes.
Well, let me ask you about a couple of the signings, because we were linked with your boy Eddie Nketiah all summer, and I was fully opposed to it, man. And I said to you, thank you very much for paying the 30 mil or whatever it was for him and the 120k he wanted. And I got stick for it. They're like, oh, you know, a lot of the Forest fans are like, well, who do you suggest? We need a striker. What are we going to do? He's played most of the games, 0 goals, 0 assists. What's been your take? And by the way, before you lot in the comments start and say, now I've said it, he's going to score against Forest, because that's always the way, right? I don't control the future. But from what you've seen from him so far, D, are you happy that you bought him or not? You're playing him not even up front, are you? It's almost like an inside forward.
What do you think about Nketiah?
Nketiah? Yeah. He had a purple patch last season. I wish he would untuck his shirt. It's so tightly tucked into his shorts, man. I've never seen a footballer do it that way. But he's physical, he's strong. And I think he's one of those players that's when he's on a roll of scoring goals, he'll keep scoring. But he had a huge dry patch for you guys for large periods of early last season. Yeah. But I think he's better than Eddie.
Well, he scored 4 goals this season, and Eddie still dropped him to the bench against Liverpool, which shows Eddie's performance. Eddie's performances haven't been bad so far, and he's been playing out of position. He's played as a right side number 10.
0 assists.
0 goals, 0 assists. But he's. I mean, if you watch him play, those goals are coming soon. He was very close. He should have scored against Everton. Got cleared. Very good clearance, by the way. It was going top bins. I can't remember from the defender. But I don't think Eddie's been bad for us. He hasn't. That's the thing. He hasn't played for 90 minutes of football up until he joined Palace, till I think it was last year in the Prem against Fulham at Arsenal. So it's going to take him a bit of time. But from the early signs I've seen, it is encouraging. Like I wasn't the one against Eddie coming to Palace. I do think in today's market, when you look at 25-30 million pounds, it's not really that much. Players are going for crazy amounts
Prem
of money.
tax, D. Most of that's Prem tax because he wore an Arsenal shirt. You know, he warmed a bench at the Emirates. Do you know what I mean? It's like I just don't see it.
But
he's
then
definitely scoring now. I'm going on
who's
about
the
it.
alternative that you lot got?
Chris Wood has scored more goals than him this season.
Yeah, but you didn't end up getting striker.
Fun.
So you'd rather have Chris Wood. You'd rather have no Nketiah.
I'd rather put you up front than Nketiah, bro.
But that's the thing. I mean, if you watch Nketiah's performances, even at Arsenal, and that's the reason why I expected Palace. I know why Dougie Freeman wanted to sign him. There's more to his games. Then of course you want a striker to score goals and get assists, etc.
But is he being played out of position? Joking aside, because he's playing in behind Nketiah on that inside forward. Is that his position, or does he look out of position now?
He doesn't. I mean, the problem that we have is that we don't have the number 10 to kind of cut inside. That's not really his position, but he hasn't been terrible for us there. But we've needed a winger / more of like a number 10. I don't think Sarr's a number 10. However, whenever Sarr's come on in that position, he's looked decent, and for the first time he started against Liverpool with Nketiah up front. So even Glassen's kind of noticed that as well, because like Munoz, when he's attacking down the right-hand side as a right wing back, we don't really have that player. I mean, Nketiah is more of a striker. I do agree with that. But he hasn't been able to get that support with Munoz because of his game and Munoz's game. But whenever he's been on the ball, like he scored a goal, by the way. He has scored a goal, not in the Prem. In the League Cup, he has, but I mean, it goes
against who?
He scored against QPR in the Cup. Yeah. I mean, it goes a goal.
I scored one in the park the other day, bro. I put it on my stats.
He scored a goal whilst playing our position. He scored a goal whilst playing our position, not playing as a striker. So, I mean, let's see what actually happens with him. But I mean, a lot of Palace fans, for example, even against Liverpool, up until this point, despite him not scoring any goals in the Premier League, I haven't really seen anyone say, "Oh, look, 30 million wasted. Like, what's going on? He's absolutely terrible." A lot of Palace fans were saying, "Let's start Nketiah up front," which has shown. He has shown the reasons for that, because he's actually played good despite being out of position, and that's starting ahead of Mateta. So I think eventually the goals will come. I do think so. But it was a gamble
on Monday, man. I'm not gonna.
I don't know if it'll be on Monday. I'm not
gonna hit.
But he hasn't been bad. He scored a goal against Liverpool, offside, tight margins.
Man.
It was offside. It was a game. But this is the thing. He hasn't played a full 90 minutes properly up until the season.
Oh my god! How many more excuses you got, bro?
It's not excuses. These are facts. These are facts. What do you expect from a player? For example, that's, let's say, hasn't played 90 minutes of football to come to a Premier League football club and perform brilliantly for 90 minutes when he hasn't even done the first.
I'd expect I wouldn't have paid 30 mil for him.
Yeah, but then, I mean, what's the alternative? Your club has shown that there isn't any alternative in Eddie Nketiah, because, forget about the price tag. The striker market right now isn't great. It isn't great.
Well, we nearly got Omar Marmoush. We nearly got Omar Marmoush from the Bundesliga, and he's banging them in left, right, and centre.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
I know.
That's the problem. The striker market right now isn't good. It isn't good. And Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah, but it's a case of, do you buy crap or do you buy nothing at all? You know what I mean? That's the dilemma.
That's the thing. You might think it's crap, but from what I've seen so far, he hasn't been crap. Well, I know you're just looking at the goals and assists, but I think eventually those goals and assists will come if he continues playing like he does, and if he ends up playing up front.
All right, we'll see.
Goal has come, but goals and assists in the Premier League. I think.
You know what? I'm happy for him to get 20 goals this season, as long as he doesn't score on Monday, because I won't hear the end of. Even if we win, I won't hear the end of it. Yeah.
I think you looked at Eddie Nketiah at Arsenal, and I understand that as well. And you looked at some of the chances that he's missed. He's missed some big chances at Arsenal and maybe like the lack of minutes that he's got. But the problem is with a player so low on confidence because he barely gets any minutes and they're expecting him to, come off the bench and have 15, 20-minute spells and perform, which he really couldn't do. And also Arsenal fans as well just didn't. I mean, some of them did, but a lot of them just wrote him off very early on. There was massive pressures. I don't think he's a striker that's going to end up winning you the league, but that's not what we're aiming for here. So I think for a club like
making
Palace, I do think
excuses,
it's time
bro.
to
Like
do something.
I could say the exact same thing about Smith Rowe. Yeah, he didn't get minutes at Arsenal. He dropped straight into the Fulham team. He's got goals and assists already, and that's a midfielder, attacking midfielder.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can do. I think that's a very good point to make as well. But I think what Fulham are doing and what Palace are doing in terms of transitioning with a lot of new players and key players leaving the football club, I think it's two different states.
You've
And
always
also,
got an excuse ready. That's why I love you, man. That's why I love you. Can I ask you about a player that I'm hoping you're going to tell me he's been good?
yeah,
Lacroix, the centre back. He's a
yeah,
player that I've wanted at Forest for the last 3 years.
mm,
And he's pacey, he's quick. Obviously, there's the FIFA generation that knows him off FIFA and what have you.
yeah.
But how's he been since he started? Has he settled in okay for you?
Yeah, he started a bit slow in the first few games,
Mm,
but as the games are going by, even against Liverpool, he's looking much, much better. And for me, when he did that, when we did sell Anderson and brought in Lacroix, I did think eventually that would be an upgrade for us, especially if
yeah.
we're playing the back three. I think he's got the pace. He's very good in the air as well. And it's not also bad on the ball. I know a lot of people just fixate on Anderson's passing ability, but I think Lacroix can do that as well as have
Yeah.
that pace which we need in a back three because we got counted so many times. So that's been the problem. And yeah, he's growing. He's understanding a bit more in terms of what to expect with Gahey. Finally, Chalobah started in that defense as well. A player that was X'd out of Chelsea, couldn't even join them for pre-season. So it took a bit of a while for him to settle at Palace because I mean, when he joined, he just picked up an ankle injury, which I guess is expected if if a player hasn't been training properly. Hasn't been training properly for the past God knows how many months because his club, his original club told him no, you can't train with us, which sounds crazy to me. But yeah, Lacroix, Chalobah, and Gahey. For the first time against Liverpool, Chalobah, of course, was there for the mistake. It was a bit more rustiness from what I've seen of Chalobah, anyways, more than anything. I expect him to not make those kinds of mistakes going forward. But yeah, look, I mean, all three of them, well, especially Gay and Lacroix, they have been kind of growing that partnership, which was a bit rocky at the start when Lacroix started playing.
All right. Okay. Good. Because I like him. I like him. I like a lot of your players, to be honest. I think Ismail Sarr will be a good signing. I'm surprised at how badly you started. Like, I didn't expect you to fly the way you were at the end of last season, but the start has been surprising to me. Especially when you bloody drew with Leicester, man. I mean, that's embarrassing.
Well, we're
Bro.
2-0 down. We're 2-0 down against Leicester. Forget about
Steve
drawing
Cooper,
Leicester.
low blocking team Leicester, and you went 2-0 down, bro. Bloody hell.
And that's the thing. I mean, we signed majority of the players on deadline day. That was the issue. We left it late. And then also you can question whether with the Olise replacement, we decided to go with 3 players rather than a direct replacement. So we haven't got I mean, you can't replace Olise anyways, but the best way to replace him would have been to potentially have someone that has the flair, that has the pace, that has a flair, that can take on the player like we see with Eze. But we decided to go with a different approach. I guess Sarr could do that, but I don't think he's a number 10, even though when he has come on,
he's a winger.
that right side of number 10, he's actually looked decent, and he played as wing back as well. So that could even be in for a shout as well going forward. I don't know if it will, but I know he's played there for the national side. I don't know if Glasner would start him in that position, but I think that right side of 10 has been a bit more of a concern. Saying that, Raksaki, who's at Sheffield United right now, I think one of the reasons why we haven't signed that number 10 could be because we want to bring him in next season, even though for me, that's still risky business because we still got this whole season to play for.
Yeah.
So it's like, why, why not sign
And you could
another
be going
player?
past them, man. They could be getting promoted. You could be getting relegated. You
Oh,
never know.
wow. Yeah, maybe you think Palace could be
Are
getting
you in a
relegated,
relegation fight? In your head, I know in your head you're in a Champions League fight, but realistically, are you
In
you
my
worried
head,
about going down?
I've never said Champions League. In my head, we're in the top 10 battle, which we finished 10th last season. So
As
I
long as
think,
you finish ahead of West Ham, yeah, so Lawless can't chat.
yeah, well, I mean, I mean, I don't think that once we get going, I don't think that would be difficult because I don't rate Lopetegui, and he's showing reasons why, anyways. But I think I've never, I've never mentioned Champions League. Maybe at most as 7th or 8th, based on how we finished last season. That 7th spot more than anything, but realistically, top 10. That's the aim. Which the season just started now. It'll be a bit crazy for me to say we're in a relegation battle where last season we were 16th, 17th, and we still managed to finish top 10 after Glasgow joined in March. So it's a long season. Only 7 games have been played. So there's a lot to go. We could get worse. We could get better. But to say relegation battle already or top 4 battle is a bit, I don't like for any team, I guess, other than clear teams, it's good. What do you think about Forest? What, are you in a top 4 battle? Because you had a good start.
Mate, I said before the season we'll finish 8th, and everyone laughed at me. And now not as many people are laughing. It's like we saw. What's your thoughts been on Forest? Like, where did you have them at the start of the season?
I can't even remember, to be fair, where I had Forest, but I didn't have them in
Insignificant,
trouble. I didn't have them in trouble, but I
Yeah.
probably didn't have them in 8th, maybe like 12th, 13th. I think that's
Yeah.
the thing. Look, you've had a great start to the season, but you've also got some good players. It's very, I don't know, it's very simple to kind of, figure out what you're going to do in attack in terms of like, it's like you got a fast wingers, in terms of Hudson-Odoi and Langa. You got, Chris Wood up front, who's physical. It's like it's a very solid foundation and very, very solid system. And you've signed that new centre back, Milenkovic, I believe.
Yeah, absolute quality.
Yeah, he's a quality player to have next to Murillo. And I've watched a few Forest games this season. The Liverpool game, for example, away from home, that's classic Forest. Especially with this team, I think Nuno Espirito Santo is getting the best out of the quality that he has in his side in terms of using those wingers for their pace, hitting teams on the counter, and like that, you will get more results this season. But that's the thing with early season results, and the table just still finally the table's starting to settle. But if you lose 2 games and another person wins 2 games, they could go easily above you or below you. So it's still like at that stage. But for Forest, I think Forest should be proud. Just don't get more red cards. I don't know what's going on there. You just get a red card every other game.
We got physical boys, man. What can I say? And then
yeah, you do. You got passionate ones. But yeah, you've made some good signings. And signings that suit Nuno's football. And we've kind of gone with that approach as well with Glasner, because we've signed, for example, Daichi Kamada, who's played under Glasner, signed Lacroix, who played under Glasner, as well as a few other players. And for us, I don't know, when did you make your signings?
We did ours early. That was the big difference this summer. Is most of our business was done towards the start with the odd sprinkling at the end. Like we brought in Jota, Silva, Sosa at the end, and they haven't broken into the first team. And I've been taking the mick at you, but you are right, because those players were brought in late. They haven't been bedded in, even though we're 6-7 games in. But most of our team were able to do a full preseason. And that was, for me, the most important thing in the summer. Get him in early, get that preseason done.
And I think it's very important as well. And I assume, maybe you can correct me, but I don't think you had a lot of plays in Euros or Copa America.
I think we had about 12, 13 off the top.
Did you have 12?
Yeah, we got about 12, 13 internationals, but for the Euro, but we got the AFCON ones as well.
Yeah. I'm talking about this summer.
For the Euros, I can't remember, bro, off the top of my head. Maybe 4 or 5 tops.
4 or 5, okay.
Something like that. It wasn't many.
I'm trying to think right now which of your players played in Europe.
It was Sells went with Belgium. And then I've gone blank.
I don't think Hudson-Odoi, for example, didn't.
Elanga, Sweden weren't in there.
Anyways,
the AFCON players didn't go either.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think
that's a good point. Yeah, we would have had a lot. If you remember, put down below who was playing in the Euros for Forest. Because Wales didn't qualify. I can't remember the Euros.
Exactly. Yeah, there's. From looking at your squad, And looking at some of the players, for example, that's been performing so far this season, I think they haven't had that. Even if they were in the Euros, I don't think they were there for long. I think,
Milenkovic was there, but he still wasn't at Forest at the time of Serbia. But he
yeah.
joins like towards the end of the year. Well, while the Euros was on, but
Yeah, he
they'd already
joined.
gone out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
did they get? I don't think they went far as well.
yeah.
That's the
They
problem.
went out in the groups. They were in England's group. Yeah.
Yeah. They went. See, that's the thing. I mean, Copa America, but these are things that's happened. It's stuff that we need to adjust to at this point. But for Colombia going far, England going far, and the Olympics
You
as
had
well.
the Olympics as well, didn't you? With
Mateta
like
joined literally.
Nketiah and
We
that.
played.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played on the Saturday. Mateta joined the squad on a Wednesday. Like, forget about 10 days. He had 3 days, like, before we get going, basically. So yeah, it's all that's the thing with the international breaks. We need it. You might not need it. And in fact, I don't
We
think
didn't
Forest
want
fans were really looking forward to the international break
it.
because you had a great game against Chelsea. I watched that. Watched towards the end of the game plus highlights. I've watched a few Forest games so far this season. I've been very impressed. I watched a game against Brighton. Referee's a bit crazy. But that's the referees for you in the Premier League. And it's just basic but effective. And Nuno has performed, for example, at Wolves as well. And a lot of I don't know what your thoughts were on him when he joined Forest. I guess maybe on paper he's not an exciting manager, but if a
He
lot of people
wasn't
look at
Cooper, bro. I was happy. I was at that stage. He's not Roy face for
with
you.
Cooper
Yeah.
can't just get anyone in. Exactly. And now, funny enough, let's see Cooper with Leicester on Friday night
Yeah.
versus
The
Forest.
Cooper Derby. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. But yeah, Nuno's done. I mean, the Tottenham spell maybe caused a bit of slander on his name and people
They're
saying, "Oh, he's
harsh
not
on
good
him,
enough."
man. Even in that small period, he was top of the league for Spurs. He was manager of the month off the bat. I think he beat Man City and Arsenal while
Mm.
he was at Spurs. And then he had that sluggish period. I just don't think the fans ever took to his style of football. They just wanted, gun-ho, Postecoglou style football. And now they're
Yeah.
complaining about it.
Which
You
is
know what I
like
mean?
which
Yeah.
from one extreme to another. But yeah, like
Yeah.
at Wolves, he did perform well and he had some good spells
Yeah.
at Wolves as well when they first got promoted anyway. So I think he's a good manager. He's a manager which I guess your objective is if you're trying to aim for Europe, top half. He's got experience now in the Premier League and you've got a good squad. You've got a good squad which you can take you forward with as well. So yeah, it's looking good over there.
So what are you saying for this Monday? What's the head and heart thinking here, man?
I genuinely don't know. Like I don't know what to expect. As I said, I don't know if there's going to be changes. I literally have no clue in terms of how we're going to approach the game, how we're going to be fit. Like at this point, with the unexpected, I'll take a draw. I would take a draw, but at some point we have to go get a win. It's just very hard with Palace right now, especially with the international break. Look, is Wharton going to be fit enough to play? Or is he going to play him despite him not being fit? Is what's happening with Eze for the first time since the start of the season. He's got a bit of a break. He didn't join with England as well. What's going to happen with him? His performance haven't been great. Chalobah, forget about Chalobah. Let's talk about injuries. Munoz, who's a key player for us, but we don't know the latest with his injury. Is he going to be fit? Is he going to play? Because that changed a lot of things. If he can't play, then if we play three at the back, then I'm not as confident. Look, overall, I do think. Look, majority of the games that we played in the season, we've been in the games. It's been tight margins. So I think we will perform once again. I do think you've got a strong team. You'll be up for it as well because you've had a bit. You've had a break as well. But I'm gonna go for a draw. Maybe that's my heart speaking rather than my head. But I'm gonna go for a draw. I'm gonna go for 1-0. We ended the 13-game winning streak, which Chelsea had against us, despite having 14 first team players fit. I think Forest should be aiming for a win. You look on paper,
we haven't won at home, man, this season still. We still haven't won at home.
I remember the Wolves game as well because I watched a bit of it.
We should have won that, but they scored a worldie to equalize. It's like Bournemouth scored late against us to win it. Fulham, Nuno got his tactics wrong. We haven't had many home games to be honest, but we're undefeated away. Huh?
Fulham played better than you, right?
Well, Nuno decided to go for a 4-4-2 tactic that match and messed it up completely. It's the first time he's got it really wrong. And then
Yeah.
Fulham, I just rate them, man. I think Marco Silva's a top-notch manager, and
They're
the way they
fine.
play and everything.
I think the
So,
problem with us
gone?
compared to Fulham, for example, is that we're with that Mateta and Nketiah and Eze
Mm,
trio that we've been playing for a long part, which he changed
mm,
in the Liverpool game, is that we just didn't have that creativity there as
yeah,
much.
yeah.
And on top of that, when Eze is not performing, it's just like that attack it just does not work. It just doesn't work. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go for 1-1.
Alright.
As good as you've been so far this season, I don't think it's crazy to say that Palace could potentially get a draw. On another day against Liverpool, we could have got something out of that game as well. But it's us to blame. You know, it's all on us. We missed the chances. Not even a chance. Chances against Liverpool, who's top of the league. So we haven't been terrible. A draw, but a win needs to come at some point. And hopefully Glasgow's going to be up for it, and
Not
Villa going to
Monday,
be up for
man,
it in this
please.
game. Because as you said, you
Like,
haven't got results at home. But I'm not even looking at the opposition at this point because I
yeah,
mean, it doesn't
yeah.
matter. Every game is difficult. It's just we need to perform at the levels that we should, and if we do, then I think we can get something out of the game. What do you reckon?
Do you know my biggest worry is how much I've cussed Nketiah down since the summer, and
You can't be
honestly,
worried about Nketiah now. The way you talk
no,
about
no,
Nketiah,
it's not so much I'm worried about him. I'm worried about these lot in the comments, right? Who are just gonna be like, if he scores, yeah, we're getting the pitchforks out on you. That's my biggest worry. And I hate when Forest play a team that haven't won for ages or have a striker that's out of form or something like that. I bet everyone says it in their own fan base, but Forest
yeah, we
always
did.
do this, man. Like,
Yeah.
even if we're playing well, it's like it worries me. I think we'll win. I do think we'll win. I just don't want Nketiah to score, man. That's all.
Well, the way you see Nketiah, you do not rate him one bit. Surely he's not going to
I
score.
know.
You
I
got
know.
good defenders as well. You got good defenders. I like
Yeah,
the
we got,
duo.
I think, the third
So,
best defensive record in the league currently, the
yeah,
second
yeah.
lowest
Exactly.
XGA or
And
whatever
and
they
then
call it.
Nketiah, according to you, he's not good enough. So there's no chance he
Oh.
scores, right? But then again, we'll see. Maybe it could be Mateta and Nketiah who starts. I don't know if that changes your opinion on things, but he's trying to find a system to play two up front. So it could be a 4-4-2 or,
Let's hope he
something like
doesn't
that.
figure it out on Monday. Steve, we've
Yeah.
been babbling on for half an hour as always. You're a legend, bro. We'll be doing a preview over on Dee's channel as well, Back of the Nest. It's in the title, it's in the description. Go check it out. I'm gonna tell him how crap Nketiah is, and no doubt his not gonna give me all kinds of beef in their comments. So make sure you subscribe, guys. Hit that like button, do subscribe, and go check out the reverse preview over on Back of the Nest. D, you're a legend. I'll see you over on your channel. Thank you for
Thank you.
watching. You Reds.